IIT Bombay has represented the dream of progress in India, and as its students, each of you has partaken in our journey towards eminence. Today, as you graduate from IIT Bombay, you are carrying aloft this beacon of excellence as its alumni. Wherever you go, you are representatives of this institute and all that it stands for. Owing to the pandemic, for the second year, this too is an e-convocation, but retaining all the sanctity and traditional ceremony to make this the special day that each and every one of you deserves. One which we can celebrate together despite our physical separation. We hope that you can come back to the campus once again as esteemed alumni to enjoy the serene sunsets at the lake and long walks along its tree-lined roads.
I declare the 59th Convocation open.
Professor Geoffrey Hinton, co-recipient of the 2018 Turing Award and a professor at University of Toronto. Dr. Pawan Goenka, chairperson of the Board of Governors. Professor Margaret Gardner, President and Vice Chancellor of Monash University. Members of the Board of Governors, members of the Senate, distinguished guests, parents, colleagues, and most importantly, our graduating students. I have great pleasure in welcoming you all to the 59th convocation of the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. We are indeed privileged to have Professor Geoffrey Hinton, the most distinguished and accomplished computer scientist, as the chief guest. Professor Geoffrey Everest Hinton, often hailed as the father of artificial neural networks, is currently an emeritus professor at the University of Toronto, the chief scientific advisor of the Vector Institute, and a vice president and engineering fellow at Google. He has also served as a professor at Carnegie Mellon University and University College of London. Professor Hinton has a BA in experimental psychology from Cambridge University and a PhD in artificial intelligence from University of Edinburgh. He is known for his seminal research contributions in areas such as backpropagation algorithm, Boltzmann machines, time delay networks, variational learning, and capsule networks. Professor Hinton was elected as the Fellow of the Royal Society in 1998 and a member of the National Academy of Engineering, USA, in 2016. In 2018, he received Canada's highest civilian award, Companion of the Order of Canada. He has received several major awards, with the topmost honor being the Turing Award in 2018. Professor Hinton received honorary doctorate degrees from University of Sherbrooke, University of Edinburgh, and University of Sussex. On a lighter side, for those who love to connect an individual with great historical personalities, I may add that Professor Hinton is the great-great-grandson of George Boole, the originator of Boolean logic, and that his middle name, Everest, connects him to the relative George Everest, who who was the Surveyor General of India and has a mountain named after him. Professor Hinton, we are truly honored to have you as the chief guest of this convocation. Dear parents of the students, I am pleased to inform you the Institute continues to be ranked as one of the top universities of the country and among the best in the world. On behalf of the Institute, I wish to thank the Ministry of Education for their support to enhance the research and academic programs and the infrastructure of the Institute, and for the faith reposed on us. For the students, be they undergraduate or postgraduate, IIT Bombay is the preferred choice. The alumni of the Institute have made their alma mater proud through their achievements and contributions in diverse fields, and our engagements with them are steadily growing. Research, along with its translational and entrepreneurial opportunities, is an increasing focus of activity in the Institute. The Institute has been able to attract outstanding faculty, and I'm happy to inform that we have 693 faculty members on roll, with many of whom are globally acknowledged for their research contributions. We have also been able to expand our collaborations with many international and national peer universities, enabling us to enhance research and educational programs at the Institute, as well as to help our students getting an international experience. The progress of IIT Bombay on all fronts has been very satisfactory during the past year, despite the unforeseen difficulties faced by the nation due to the current pandemic. I acknowledge the devoted efforts of the faculty, staff, students, and administration of this institute towards meeting our collective goals. Dear students, you're probably the worst affected batch of graduates among all batches that IIT Bombay have graduated till date, who have faced extreme socio-academic hardship due to the spread of the pandemic. You had to make do with online classes, away from your teachers and peers for nearly 2.5 semesters. You had to restrict yourselves month after month within your home, and you had to face so much of uncertainties and vulnerabilities at this tender age. Many of you have lost your near and dear ones to the pandemic. Some of your families had to face extreme financial difficulties. But now is the time to cheer up. Dear students, you are now proud graduates of IIT Bombay. My salutation to each and every one of you for standing up boldly during this challenging time. I also take this opportunity to thank your family members for giving you the much needed support during the entire period. We would have loved to have you all physically attending this convocation, but unfortunately, the ground reality in Mumbai does not yet permit that. Because of you, just like in the previous year, we have specially created this virtual reality-based convocation where you will be experiencing personalized avatars of each one of you, collecting degree certificates from my own avatar, surrogating me. If you still feel that you are really missing the physical presence in this convocation, do think about me. This pandemic has even separated me on this dais from one of my dearest graduates this year, who happens to be my son. And instead, my avatar is expectantly looking forward to meeting his avatar. I now present a brief report of the Institute activities for the year. First of all, academic program. IIT Bombay continues to explore new academic opportunities for our undergraduate and postgraduate students. This is also in tune with the new education policy of 2020, new minor and IEEE programs in digital health informatics and machine intelligence and data science have started from the current year. We have also expanded the bouquet further by allowing MBA in the dual degree program. We are also soon going to start an M-Inch program for working professionals in innovation and entrepreneurship, a program that will possibly be one of a kind internationally. In this convocation, a total of 2,418 degrees will be awarded to 2,215 recipients. Total number of PhD degrees awarded this year is 352. The first batches of BS in economics and MTech in urban design are also graduating in this convocation. So congratulations to these two special batches. Research and development activities. R&D activities at IIT Bombay kept up a brisk pace with time. At the most high-tech area, IIT Bombay embarked on first-in-human clinical trial using indigenously developed targeted CAR T cells to fight cancer in collaboration with Tata Memorial Hospital. Similarly, it helped creating portable jaggery processing product development unit for the benefit of sugarcane farmers. It has also been helping Central Pollution Control Board to set up smog towers in Delhi to study and fight pollution. Understanding the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic, the Institute took up many R&D projects for its mitigation very early on, including seed funding many projects internally. This head start enabled IIT Bombay to come up with various technologies and innovations leading to multiple technology transfers, land or licensing to many industries, startups, and some of which have already been commercialized. Researchers at the Institute work towards developing medical devices, sterilization methods, sanitization technologies, antiviral supplements, personal protection kits, software solutions for surveillance, diagnostic approaches, pooled COVID-19 testing, and many other scientific innovations to help in dealing with the direct and indirect effects of the pandemic. In financial year 2021, IIT Bombay received an external funding of rupees 285 crores for R&D related activities. This included funding from government agencies, industries, and others, both within and outside India. During the year, Institute filed 141 Indian and 17 US patents and has been granted around 110 Indian and 8 US patents, much higher than those numbers from the previous years. The Institute has successfully licensed over 20 IPs to various industries, and 7 such IPs have been used by our incubator, SIGN. The Institute's research was recognized by peers and society in the form of several awards and fellowships conferred on faculty and students. Some of the major awards and distinctions received by our faculty members include Professor Suryendu Datta from Department of Arts Science and Professor U.K. Anandavardhan, Department of Mathematics, have received the Santicharu Bhatnagar Prize for the year 2020. ACRB Women Excellence in Research Award 2021 was bestowed on Professor Shobna Kapoor of Department of Chemistry. Professor Preeti Rao, Department of Electrical Engineering, received the Abdul Kalam Technology Innovation National Fellowship for 2021. A film, Sakshatkaram, written and directed and edited by Professor Suresh Balan from IDC, bagged the 2 awards at the 14th edition of Science Film Festival. Outreach programs. The continuing Education and Quality Improvement Program office at the IIT Bombay has been actively reaching out to working professionals from both academia and industry to serve the competency development and training requirements. Due to the pandemic, Institute had to restrict to the use of online mode for conducting CEP courses. In terms of the overall performance during 2021, a total of 51 CEP courses were conducted, and for 945 participants with a revenue of around 5.5 crores. International relations. IIT Bombay assigns a significant value to its relationship with various international partners. Over the years, IIT Bombay has steadily built up a reputation for research and education, both in India and abroad. Our collaboration with Monash University, under which we run possibly the world's largest joint PhD program, has seen 175 graduations till date. This convocation also graduates the first batch of students together with Washington University and St. Louis for dual degree MTech in aerosol engineering. Alumni and corporate relations. The Dean Alumni and Corporate Relations Office integrates two strategic thrusts for IIT Bombay. One is nurturing and enhancing alumni relations, and the other is collaborating with corporations. The alumni and corporate donations, which have picked up significantly in the last few years, also provide a great support to the Institute. During 2021, the Institute received a total donation of rupees 77 crores. With the help of alumni funding, we have now set up 4 units, namely Center for Policy Studies, Technocraft Center for Applied Artificial Intelligence, Koita Center for Digital Health, and a school, Desai Sethi School of Entrepreneurship. IIT Bombay is also fortunate to have received for the first time a bequest from the family of former professor. We express our deep gratitude and appreciation for the constant support shown by our alumni and other well-wishers of IIT Bombay. We also conferred 10 Distinguished Alumni Awards and 5 Young Alumni Achievers Awards for bringing glory to the Institute through their pursuit of excellence. Infrastructure and development. The Institute is making sincere attempts to cover the setback received in executing projects due to COVID-19 pandemic. Apart from continuing it with construction projects like Mega Hostel H17, Research Park Building, Rahul Bajaj Technology Incubation Center, and a high-rise Type B building, we have completed the Executive Education Complex above the SJM Som building in March 2021, boosting our efforts of expanding the scope of executive education. The Computer Center. The center was tasked to quickly take care of the entire load of online courses, as well as to provide access to various campus resources like library, Moodle, software packages, and computational hardware to our students across the country. And we are happy to say that they provided an excellent support to the Institute all around the year. Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Over the 17 years of its journey, SIGN has gained a leadership position in business incubation community in India. An early adopter of the incubation activities, SIGN's practices have been referred to or emulated in academic and R&D institutions across the country. SIGN hosted 181 companies since its inception, out of which 15 are now new companies that got incubated, and 11 companies have graduated in 2021. The incubated companies involved about 550 entrepreneurs and have raised over 1,700 crores and created 4,500 jobs. One of the incubated companies have become a unicorn recently. All incubated companies together are valued at $2 billion, and we expect to give SIGN a further boost when the Arbitic building would be ready to house more incubators in the campus. IIT Bombay Research Park Foundation. The foundation is a not-for-profit organization set up by IIT Bombay to bring industrial research closer to home and to build a collaborative partnership. Although the construction of the building got delayed due to the pandemic, it has already onboarded 11 companies physically and that are constantly interacting with IIT Bombay faculty, and another 5 companies through the newly proposed associateship model. Students' activities. The students at IIT Bombay explore their interest through a plethora of activities. With the campus being mostly closed to the students, all activities, including the flagship events like TechFest and Mood Indigo, moved to the online mode. The students designed appropriate platforms to host a very large number of participants across the globe and help them participate seamlessly. Placement. Despite the economic slowdown due to the pandemic, the quality of education and research experiences that IIT Bombay provides to its students saw the placement office successfully tiding over the difficult year in terms of placing our students to different companies. The placement drive at IIT Bombay witnessed offers from 292 companies. Out of 1,509 students that appeared for placements, a total of 1,150 compared to 1,209 last year received job offers, out of which 58 are international offers. Further, during the year, a total of 879 students received internship offers, out of which 104 were from universities abroad. I feel pride and joy to have so many bright individuals graduating today, transformed by their training at the Institute, and possibly hardened due to this year-long exposure to the pandemic, and who are ready to face the challenges of the world. On behalf of the Institute, I offer my warmest congratulations to all the graduating students who will receive their degrees and medals today. Congratulations to proud parents and family members of the graduating students on this happy day. We acknowledge all the sacrifices you have made to see your words achieve this success. On this joyous occasion, we must not forget that we have lost several of our esteemed staff members, a distinguished faculty colleague, and a few of our valued students to this pandemic. As the director of the Institute, I take this occasion to pay homage to these departed souls. Dear students, the education you have received at IIT Bombay is comparable to the very best in the world. I know that each one of you will excel in your career and that we all look forward to the significant contributions you will make in the years ahead. This is an unusually depressing yet exciting time to begin a career, given the immense challenges as well as opportunities created by the pandemic. What you have learned in the Institute is only a foundation. Putting up a structure on the foundation is your responsibility. We tried to provide you an education in the true spirit of Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktai, an opportunity to bring out the best in you, an opportunity for you to excel. Now it is your turn to find ways on how you can help the society and the nation through your work. Please remember that you all were privileged to have your education at IIT Bombay, and the nation has a great expectation from each one of you. As you graduate and leave this institute today, please remember that alumni are important stakeholders of the institute, and we would always cherish our links with you and all that depend your help and guidance taking IIT Bombay to greater heights. On behalf of the institute, I wish all the success in your future endeavor. Jai Hind.
distinguished graduating class of 2021, family members, respected chief guest, Professor Geoffrey Hinton, esteemed members of the Board of Governors, Director, Professor Subhasis Chowdhury, members of the Senate, faculty and staff of IIT, special invitees and guests. It is my pleasure to welcome you, though virtually, to the 59th Convocation Ceremony of IIT Bombay. This is my first opportunity to be addressing the IIT Bombay graduating class, and I feel honored to be doing so. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I'd like to welcome Professor Geoffrey Hinton, Emeritus Distinguished Professor, University of Toronto. Professor Hinton is leading authority in the field of artificial intelligence and deep learning. His research breakthrough has revolutionized speech recognition and object classification. Thank you, Professor Hinton, for taking time to be part of this convocation, and we are looking forward to your address to the graduating class. Class of 2021, today is the day all of you would have been eagerly looking forward to. There are many who have been instrumental in helping you achieve this dream. Your parents and other family members, professors and friends. You have truly made them proud. I would like to congratulate each one of you on this momentous occasion and wish you all the very best as you transition into the next phase of life. As you make this transition from an IIT student to an IIT alumni, do realize that it is both a privilege and a legacy that you have to live up to. You are not just mere engineers or PhDs with high skills, but you are an empowered global citizen of modern India. As empowered global citizen, and given what the world is going through today, there is probably no better time than now to contribute to make the world a better place to live in. I'm sure none of you would have imagined that your convocation would be held virtually with everyone sitting at home, and even the academic procession pre-recorded. Many of you will be wondering, where does this end? While COVID-19 is without doubt the biggest health and economic crisis mankind has ever faced, I would want to share a slightly different perspective. The pandemic has given us the opportunity to define a new normal for how we will learn, how we will work, and how we will live. And once we are out of the fear of catching the virus, and that may not be too far, the new normal, in fact, may be better than what we will be leaving behind. COVID has accelerated the rate of tech adoption across streams of life. The changes which would have taken 5-6 years, maybe more, have happened in just a few months. Few examples: use of telemedicine, digital transactions, digital enablement of working and managing business from home, connecting virtually with co-workers and even launching new products remotely, online education, which all of you would have experienced last year, policy meeting and deliberations with senior government officers over video, even virtual dinners with friends, families, and business associates. And the list goes on. In addition to the pandemic, the geopolitical scenario has changed, resulting in realignment of manufacturing value chains, creating opportunities for Make in India and for India's participation in global value chains. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Indian technology and manufacturing sectors. And then we have the clarion call by our Honorable Prime Minister to be Atmanirbhar. What does Atmanirbhar really mean? Atmanirbhar, to me, is first to take pride in what we do and what our country does. It is about removing all our disabilities. It is about being world-class in our product and service offerings. It is about innovating, developing technology, and creating a pull for our offerings. It is about developing India as a source of distinct value add and globally competitive technology and manufacturing destination. In my view, Atmanirbhar Bharat is one phrase that has the potential to change the landscape of R&D, technology, and manufacturing in India. It has a potential to bring pride in Made in India. The road to Atmanirbhar and the dream of putting India on the world map will come from technology and innovation rather than labor cost arbitrage. And this is where you, class of 2021, can play a big role. You can create building blocks of inclusive growth by leveraging technology. India needs robust, accessible, and innovative technology solutions to improve the quality of life and be on par with global standards and maybe even define global benchmarks in some cases. And Atmanirbhar Bharat needs solutions for Industry 4.0, robotics, drones, electric vehicles, modern agriculture, data analytics, machine learning, connectivity, affordable and accessible healthcare, indigenous defense equipment, space technology. It even needs world-class toys and fitness equipment. The list is endless. My interactions with professors, research scholars, startups, and students at IITs have convinced me that the caliber of research and innovation in India is as good as anywhere else in the world. What we need is to increase industry collaboration and hasten the process from lab to field. Hence, I urge you that no matter what you do, as you start your career, don't go too far from science and technology. This is where the action is and is going to continue to be. On a personal note, as some of you may know, I've recently retired after a career spanning 41 plus years with General Motors and Mahindra. During these years, there were multiple accolades, new technologies, product launches, new business models, acquisitions, growth, profitability, and numerous awards. Why am I telling you all this? Because as I look back, I have derived greatest satisfaction from those moments when I have dared to do something new, something out of the box. It is that joy of challenging the status quo that has always brought a smile on my face. And this is why I urge you to always do something that no one has done before. This is what will be etched in your memory forever and ever. If you recollect the original vision of IITs, it was to advance the bubbling aspirations of post-dependence India towards a modern India. Today, renew your zeal and passion to work towards this vision. Today is the time to commit yourself to creating an Atmanirbhar Bharat. So step out and fulfill the great IIT legacy that you are fortunate to have inherited. Step out with confidence and influence the change. Our nation is looking up to you. The world is looking up to you. Best wishes to all. Stay safe. God bless.
The award of medals by Chief Guest will now commence. President of India, Medal for the year 2021, Siddharth Chanda, in the program of Bachelor of Technology, Department of Electrical Engineering. Institute Gold Medal for the year 2019-2020 and Dr. Shangadayal Sharma Gold Medal, Manu Srivastava, Program of Dual Degree Bachelor of Technology and Master of Technology, Engineering Physics Department. Award of Institute Silver Medals by the Chief Guest will now commence. The Award of Excellence in PhD Research will now commence. These awards are given to the selected candidates in the PhD programs for exemplary research contribution.
Now I request our chief guest, Professor Hinton, to deliver his convocation speech.
First, I would like to thank you for inviting me to give this address. It's an honor to address such an accomplished group of students. I've supervised 3 students who graduated from IIT Bombay, and Nitish, Averil, and Rishab were all amazing students. But I would especially like to congratulate the students who had difficulties with their studies but persevered and overcame them. I was one of those students. I went to Cambridge, which is probably the closest thing Britain has to IIT Mumbai, and I found university stressful and difficult, and I did not do well. So my heartfelt congratulations go to the students who persevered and graduated despite having difficulties. Perseverance is an admirable quality, and in the long run, I believe it is much more important than just raw talent. To be a good researcher, you need a lot of perseverance, because most new ideas turn out to be wrong, and it generally takes a lot of commitment and hard work to discover why they are wrong. Philosophers of science, who are the closest thing that science has to priests, will tell you that you should always try to falsify your ideas. But that is not how people work. You try to prove your ideas are right and save the falsification for other people's ideas. So it is painful when you discover why your favorite new idea is wrong, but it is vital to recognize the shortcomings of your own ideas, because those shortcomings are the seeds of new and better ideas. Perseverance is especially important if you have an intuitive idea that seems really good to you and the experts in your field tell you it is nonsense. My advice is to always trust your own intuition. Either you have good intuitions or you don't. If you have good intuitions, you need to follow them. And if you have bad intuitions, it doesn't really matter what you do, so you might as well follow them anyway. Doing science is a complicated process that combines intuition, reasoning, and practical experimentation. In the long run, science is far more open-minded than the other religions. It can establish that truly absurd ideas, like quantum mechanics and black holes, are correct. These ideas are much crazier than the idea I was taught in scripture lessons at school, that there's an old white guy with a beard looking down on you from behind the clouds to make sure you behave yourself. Senior researchers like me will tell you how to do science, but my advice is to ignore them and just do what seems right to you. My favorite philosopher of science was Paul Feyerabend, who said that the correct method in science is whatever worked. We still have very little understanding of how the mind actually works, so I'm always suspicious of people who claim to know where good ideas come from. But I think I have a few useful insights. Good ideas sometimes emerge from paradoxes, things that do not make any sense. For a good researcher, a paradox is unacceptable. There must be some way to resolve it. A paradox for a scientist is like a piece of grit for an oyster. The oyster is not comfortable until it has turned the grit into a pearl, and the scientist is not comfortable until she has turned the paradox into a pearl of wisdom. Good scientists treasure paradoxes, and even if they cannot resolve them now, they store them away as things to think about in the future. One of my favourite examples of a paradox is an observation that Darwin made in his book The Voyage of the Beagle. He noticed that some tropical islands have a reef near the shore, while other tropical islands have reefs that are a long way from the shore and are in water that is hundreds of feet deep. The living coral in these reefs sits on top of a pile of dead coral, and Darwin wondered how this dead coral got there, because coral will not grow in deep water. The only solution Darwin could think of was that the coral reef started close to the shore, and then the whole ocean floor sank slowly down, making the island much smaller and the reef much further away. From a simple paradox about coral reefs, Darwin inferred the very surprising fact that the ocean floor can sink. It took another century before the idea of continental drift was accepted by geologists, despite a mountain of evidence that supported it. Geologists thought it must be nonsense, because they had a very strong and totally incorrect intuition that the Earth was rigid, and they found it hard to accept that this was untrue over periods of millions of years, even though they knew about earthquakes. David Attenborough was a student in the 1940s, and he encountered the rigid beliefs of geologists of the time. He wrote, "I once asked one of my lecturers why he was not talking to us about continental drift. I was told sneeringly that if I could prove there was a force that could move continents, then he might think about it. The idea was moonshine, I was informed." The way geologists responded to the idea of continental drift was quite similar to the way symbolic AI, which was the dominant paradigm for AI in the 20th century, responded to the idea that a big neural network with random initial weights could learn to perform complicated tasks just by looking at data. The idea of learning millions of weights from data with very little innate knowledge was regarded as a silly romantic fantasy. It is hard for students now to understand just how strongly this idea was denigrated. Yoshua Bengio was told that there was no place for neural networks in the International Conference on Machine Learning, and Yann LeCun had a very good paper rejected by the leading computer vision conference on the grounds that the whole system was learned, so it taught us nothing about how to program a computer vision system. I think the whole history of AI might have been quite different if the two major figures who believed in neural nets in the 1950s had not died before their time. One was Alan Turing, and the other was John von Neumann. Neither of them could be accused of being ignorant of logic, but they were both convinced that it was not the way to understand how the brain computed. The rejection of neural networks was even more vociferous in the School of Linguistics led by Noam Chomsky. I remember watching a TV program called Nova about linguistics. One after another, the leading linguists of the day looked straight at the camera and said there was a lot we do not know about language, but one thing we know for sure is that it is not learned. Complete confidence in a manifestly absurd proposition is the sign of a scientific cult. But the good thing about science is that in the long run, cults cannot survive rigorous reasoning and rigorous experimentation. Of course, every scientist with strong beliefs needs to bear in mind that they too might be part of a cult. And in the early days of neural networks, it was not entirely clear whether we might be just another cult. The remarkable success of neural networks for a wide variety of computational problems that could not be solved by symbolic AI gives me a lot of confidence that they are not a cult and they are here to stay. They are the best way to do speech recognition and to classify objects in images, but they are also the best way to do machine translation, or to play Go, or to figure out how proteins fold. Neural networks with about 1 trillion parameters are so good at predicting the next word in a sentence that they can be used to generate quite complicated stories or to answer a wide variety of questions. This is far beyond anything ever achieved by building on conventional linguistics. These big neural networks are still about 100 times smaller than the human brain, but they already raise very interesting questions about the nature of human intelligence. They strongly suggest that we're not the rational beings we thought we were. People are obviously capable of logical reasoning, and this ability is crucial for civilization. We couldn't have mathematics or bank accounts or railways without logical reasoning. But it now appears that this is not our primary mode of reasoning. Inside a neural network, objects are represented by large vectors of neural activities, and these vectors make it very easy for us to perform effortless, immediate intuitive reasoning by using massive analogies. Let me give you an example of intuitive reasoning by analogy that clearly has very little to do with logic. Basic biology tells us that there are male and female cats, and also male and female dogs. But suppose I say to you that you have to choose between two possibilities. Either all cats are male and all dogs are female, or all cats are female and all dogs are male. In the culture I come from, it is just intuitively obvious that it is better to make the cats female and the dogs male. This is because the vector of neural activities that represents cats is more like the vector that represents women than the vector that represents men. This may be because dogs are big and loud and chase cats, but whatever the reason, it is intuitively clear to me that cats are more female than dogs. Logical reasoning is vital for correcting our intuitions so that they accord with reality, but intuitions based on analogies are our primary mode of reasoning. Politicians understand this very well. Trump's tweets made no attempt to present logical arguments or facts based on evidence, and the liberal media completely misunderstood what was going on. Trump was not attempting to communicate facts. He was providing training examples for his followers. He was showing them how they should respond to various events or situations, and by mimicking his responses, his followers were learning to have similar vectors of neural activity and hence similar intuitions. We can actually model this very well in simulated neural networks. It is a process that we call distillation. A student network attempts to mimic the outputs of a teacher network, and this distills the beliefs of the teacher into the student. What is remarkable is that the student comes to have the same beliefs as the teacher, even about things that were not part of the student's training. Scientists may claim their beliefs are based on applying logical reasoning to data, but I suspect that intuitive analogical reasoning is as important in doing science as it is everywhere else. Prolonged experience in a domain gives you neural activity vectors that capture the important similarities between objects in that domain. And these vectors allow an expert to draw conclusions with no sequential reasoning. The conclusions are just obvious, in the way that it is obvious that cats are female. This means you need to put in a lot of hard work to get sufficient experience in a domain, and then you need to trust your intuitions. I now want to turn to the future. I believe that the rapid progress of AI is going to transform society in ways that we do not fully understand, and not all of the effects are going to be good. In areas like healthcare, AI will be enormously beneficial. Medical records contain huge amounts of information that is not being used and that could lead to far earlier and far more effective treatments. If you have a fairly rare ailment and you go to see a family doctor, you will be lucky if the doctor has any direct experience of a patient with your particular problem. Now imagine how much better things would be if that doctor had already seen 100 million patients, including hundreds with your particular problem and thousands with closely related conditions. AI is already comparable with experts at interpreting many types of medical image, and it is likely to far surpass the experts as we get more data and as the technology of neural nets improves. An application that is of particular relevance to India is the early diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy. Neural nets developed at Google can now do this well enough to make a huge difference and save the sight of many people. I hope that many of you will choose to be part of the coming revolution in medicine that combines exciting new technology with helping your fellow human beings. At the opposite end of the spectrum is the use of AI to create lethal autonomous weapons. I find this prospect much more immediate and much more terrifying than the prospect of robots taking over, which I think is a very long way off. Lethal autonomous weapons in the hands of someone like Putin are a very scary prospect. It would be great if there was a Geneva Convention prohibiting their use, like the one that has fairly successfully limited the use of chemical weapons. But this seems unlikely to me, because America, China, Russia, Britain, and Israel are all very unlikely to agree to anything that limits the technology that gives them a competitive edge. I hope that very few of you will spend your careers facilitating this nightmare. Finally, I want to talk about the future of science itself. The amazing technologies we have today are the result of curiosity-driven research, unfettered by religious or ideological constraints. My generation just assumed that this is how things should be, and that humanity would never go back to allowing religious authority or political expediency to dominate scientific discovery. But I now think we cannot take this for granted, just as we can no longer assume that fascism is a thing of the past. I grew up in Britain in the 1950s and 60s, and a major puzzle at the time was to understand how civilized and well-educated Germans could have allowed Hitler to gain power. Recent events in the US have made that seem a lot less puzzling. I believe that highly selected and extremely well-educated students like yourselves have a moral duty to stand up for the truth in the face of political attempts to suppress it. I hope that this graduating class will use their talent and education for the good of humanity and will never put political expediency above the search for truth.
The conferment of degrees will now commence. The recipients of the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy and dual degrees of Master of Technology and Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Philosophy and Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Science and Doctor of Philosophy may please rise.
I present to you, sir, Deliwala Ajaz Ahmed A. Rauf and others, including those in absentia, who have completed the prescribed course of study and have been found fit for the award of the said degrees, and pray that they be admitted.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the Chairman Senate, I admit you all to the said degrees of the Institute and charge you to be worthy of the same. I invite Professor Margaret Gardner, President of Monash University, to greet the students of the IITB Monash Joint Degree students.
Chairman of the Board of Governors of IIT Bombay, Dr. Pawan Goenka, Director of IIT Bombay, Professor Subhashish Chowdhury, Chief Guest, Professor Geoffrey Hinton. On behalf of Monash University, I extend my deepest gratitude for the invitation to join the Indian Institute of Technology Bombay for this special event, albeit in this virtual format. Today, 28 talented students are graduating with their doctorates under the auspices of the joint IITB Monash Research Academy. These new research graduates are equipped to achieve the ideals on which the Academy was established. And with their graduation, we witness the ongoing achievement of this unique, pioneering indeed, and bold joint venture between two great institutions, the IITB and Monash, which is now in its 13th year of operation. I look forward to the day in the near future when these researchers will make their distinguished contributions to academia, industry, and communities, both locally and across the world. Together, we have built an impressive institution that we should regard with great pride. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who've worked so hard and contributed so capably to build this joint academy into what it is today. It is now my honour, on this 59th convocation ceremony for IITB and the 9th convocation ceremony that includes Monash University, to commend to you these 28 students to receive the IITB and Monash joint PhD degree. Graduands, as President and Vice-Chancellor of Monash University, with the authority of the Council, I admit you to the Doctor of Philosophy degree to which you are now entitled. Congratulations.
The recipients of the postgraduate degrees of Master of Science by Research, Master of Technology, Master of Design, Master of Business Administration, Master of Philosophy, Masters in Public Policy, Master of Science, Interdisciplinary Dual Degrees, and Postgraduate Diploma may please rise.
I present to you, sir, Shantanu Gupta and others, including those in absentia, who have completed the prescribed course of study and have been found fit for the award of the said degrees, and pray that they be admitted.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the Chairman Senate, I admit you all to the said degrees of the Institute and charge you to be worthy of the same.
the recipients of the undergraduate degree of Bachelor of Technology, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Design, and dual degrees of Bachelor of Technology and Master of Technology, and Bachelor of Science and Master of Science, and Bachelor of Design and Master of Design may please rise.
I present to you, sir, Meshram Ajinkya Ravi and others, including those in absentia, who have completed the prescribed course of study and have been found fit for the said degrees of the institute, and pray that they be admitted.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the Chairman Senate, I admit you all to the said degrees of the institute and charge you to be worthy of the same.
The President of India Gold Medalist will now administer the pledge to all degree recipients. Please stand and take the pledge.
I, Siddharth Chandak, B.Tech, of the Indian Institute of Technology Bombay, do hereby pledge that I will always endeavour to be scrupulously honest in the discharge of my duties as a professional. I will also endeavour to utilize my knowledge for the service of my country, for the public good, and to enhance the prestige of the Institute. In all circumstances, I will strive to uphold the dignity of the individual and the integrity of the profession.
I declare the 59th convocation closed.
Please rise for the national anthem.
Himalaya, Yamuna, Ganga, Uchchal,